Welcome back. It's time to hit the query segment on Buy Now, Sell Now. I do want to remind both our experts, Kunal as well as Ashish, the queries are absolutely pouring in. So do keep your answers as short as possible. I'm going to start, Kunal, with a slightly broad question. It's not a stock-related query per se. Satya is wondering what happens to a stock when it gets added to the F&O segment.
I think there's nothing major meaningful in terms of impact in terms of stock prices. We've seen mixed reactions. So in fact, I had done this study a long time back, where many of the stocks and trying to judge the reaction of the stock prices who have been added into the F&O segment, and the markets really want they eye certain set of stocks which are their favorites in terms of cash segment earlier, and in the F&O segment they just get to have an added advantage because on a good amount of leverage the positions can be taken, so it reduces the capital cost for many of the short term traders. But then there's one aspect which also increases or improves for many of these stocks is the liquidity aspect, because many of the F&O traders, arbitrage traders, and many of the strategies, they get part and they get included into such kind of names. One classical stock which I've been tracking very closely since the F&O inclusion was Deepak Nitrate. From the February or March inclusion, the stock has gone through a very strong uptrend from 1300 levels to almost 2000 plus where the stock is trading. So it tends to add to benefit for many stocks, but there is no compulsion rule as such that all the stocks which tend to get included in the F&O will get an added advantage. It's very stock specific.
Okay, this one is coming from Anuradha. She's saying that she has 400 shares of NTPC which were gifted to her, hence she does not have the cost price. However, she's saying this the stock seems to be stuck in a range for almost decade and a half. So what should she do? Continue to hold on to NTPC or look to sell this particular account? Kunal, we don't have the buy price for NTPC. So, but looking at the trend and the charts, how does it look like? If Anuradha wants to continue to hold on to it, does it merit?
A switch. I don't see NTPC. In the last 10 years, if a stock has been unable to make any kind of significant returns, it becomes very difficult to extrapolate that for the next 10 years. The stock would do something quite brilliant. If in case there is some data points which change across from the fundamental side, then it's a completely different perspective. But purely on price trends, I would suggest that you should make a switch on to large cap names. I think there are many strong large cap names which are making good comeback and on breakout mode. Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank, these stocks are looking very strong on their long term prospects. And if you're looking at one mid cap name, then probably I would suggest even United Spirits at current levels looks very attractive from a longer term perspective as well.
Okay, we've got a question coming in from Pathasati from Chennai. I'm hoping, Ashish, that you have a view on this. He's looking for the long-term outlook for Allied.
I think we've got the patchy line for Alex. We'll get back to Alex shortly once that glitch is rectified. Till then, I'll take this one. This one is from Sudeep. He's saying he has 1000 shares of NBCC which he's purchased at 58 rupees per share. He wants to know whether this can be held for 1 to 2 years, and if so, should he look to average at current price? Ashish, what's your take on NBCC? Does it make sense to hold on for 1 to 2 years? Some clarity in this particular stock will be there till then?
See, I think investors entered the stock at almost 52-week high when there was euphoria related to infra stocks and real estate stocks. And from that time, it is coming down only. So this is one of the laggard in this. So nice to remain in this. Or team runs once or twice in a particular year, and after that there not too much follow up is there, because market is not that confident on the kind of growth these companies show. So my suggestion will be to exit from this stock and look at some fertilizer play, like at this price point. I find SPEC also where I have an almost 1000 crore market cap, and fertilizer is a story which looks really very good for next couple of years. So from this stock,
Right, this one is coming in from Rohan. He's saying that he has 20 shares of HDFC Bank, which he's purchased at the level of 1,471 rupees per share. He's considering to move his holding from HDFC Bank to HDFC Limited. Does it make sense? He wants to know. Kunal, right strategy to move from HDFC Bank to HDFC Limited? Does it make sense for Rohan to make that switch?
I'm not sure what is the reason why the view wants to make the switch. But if he's looking at it from a longer term view, I would suggest, in fact, put in additional capital and try and look at adding more of these HDFC stocks. Now you can look at HDFC Life, HDFC EMC. These could be some addition which you can make as part of your portfolios. I think it's a phenomenal group. These stocks have shown in the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of history, depending on the kind of stock which you're looking at, the kind of wealth these stocks have made. So I think I don't see any reason why he has to make that switch. I would in fact suggest that you should look to add few of the stocks from the HDFC clan. And HDFC Life, I think, is one of the few stocks which looks very, very strong from a longer term perspective as well.
All right. I would like to point out to our viewers that we try and take as many questions as we possibly can, but sometimes they do get missed out. Puneet points out that he might just stop watching if we don't take his query. It doesn't work like that, Puneet. We'll try our best. I'm going to take it today though. Kunal, coming to you on this one, we've got Puneet, who's bought MECO at levels of 522. He's looking for an intraday view. And what is the target that you would give for him?
See, I think from a 522 perspective, it's going to be a bit tricky. What happens is you have to try and understand that what the texture of the market is from an intraday perspective. As I said, in my opening remarks, that I'm expecting the Nifty and the markets to remain in a kind of a range-bound action. So purely in that sense, you have to understand that when you are looking to buy, you should try to buy the stocks, when they come back to some retracement rather than waiting for breakouts, because breakouts, they tend to work very well if the markets are trending. But if the markets are sideways, breakouts, they tend to fizzle out. So purely on that aspect, I would expect MECO to remain at this 520 to 524 kind of an intraday zone. If it breaks out of today's high on an intraday basis, then you can expect maybe another 10 rupees on the upside. So I would suggest keep a stop loss on the trade. 517, 516 could be a stop loss on MECO from an intraday perspective, and wait for a breakout above 527.
Is from Bolenath Panwar, and he wants to know about Cardtrade for the longer term. Ashish, do you have a view on this one? Cardtrade Tech, it just listed. How does it look over the longer term, in case you have any view on it?
Yes, though IPO got a thumping response, and it was sheer disappointment post listing also. As there's not too much capital which is going in the company for the growth, because being a tech company, you don't require really too much of capital, and when you are having established brand name. So my suggestion will be, my suggestion is exit from this stock and switch to some FMCG stock. Like I like Godrej Consumer. If you shift to Godrej Consumer, my next 1 year target is around 1,300 rupees. So here you can get better returns compared to Cardtrade. I'm not expecting any good numbers from Cardtrade in next 3 to 6 months, which can take a stock to again 1,700-1,800 kind of level. So better to buy a FMCG stock which can give you good returns.
All right, coming to you on this next one, Kunal, we've got Ravi Shankar, who's bought as many as 8,000 shares of Tata Motors at levels of 312.78. He's got a short-term view. He's asking what the prospects are. The stock is trading much below his buy price at the moment.
Alex, if you remember, we had this discussion, almost a month back when Tata Motors was, going through that corrective phase, and I maintain my stance that you don't need to be in a hurry to try and chip into the stock. You have to wait for at least 1.5 month for the stock to show you that where exactly is the demand zone or the support zone for the stock price. I'd mentioned at that time specifically that 275, 280 could actually come back to a demand zone for Tata Motors. So I would sense that the stock is now trying to come back to a demand territory. Since you bought a higher chunk at higher levels, I think there's little powder left for you to try and average at current levels. if you can, probably average by say another couple of thousand shares to try and bring your cost price lower. But the only catch over here with stock like Tata Motors is the amount of waiting time, because it's possible that the stock may remain sideways, go through a bit of a drag for at least another one and a half odd month before it tries to resurrect and come back again on the upper side. So if you don't have any issues in terms of holdings, then I would suggest maybe an average at current levels.
Okay, this one is coming in from Soumitra, and this is on Bharti Airtel, and he's saying he's noticed a trend in Bharti Airtel that the promoter raises funds exactly as the stock reaches 600 rupees per share, and then the share dramatically falls. He's been holding Bharti Airtel from the range of 422 rupees per share. He wants to know what should he do, what's the rationale behind it, any expert takes on this one, Ashish. Do you agree with this trend that Soumitra has picked for Airtel?
No, I think it's a sheer coincidence. Whenever there is funds, after that there's some correction. But ultimately, in longer run, the fundamental and the business of the company are important, which really matters. And in my view, as the weakness is there a lot in Vodafone Idea and the fate is uncertain, most of the beneficiaries are going to be Reliance Jio and Bharti Airtel only. So my advice is Bharti Airtel you should buy not at the peak, but when the stock is coming down. So from peak of 640, stock has already come to 598. I think 580, 585. You can re-enter the stock, and again you are going to get 630, 640 in a couple of months. So in my view, it's a weakness is a good operator, Bharti Airtel.
Okay, all right. We've got a question coming in from Bharat from Hyderabad, and he's asking about HDFC AMC. He needs a technical view, and this is for the next 3 to 6 months. Kunal, what would you say for this time frame?
3 to 6 months, I would expect some stronger uptake coming out for HDFC AMC. It's remained in a tight band of consolidation. So there have been two ranges for HDFC AMC. One on the 3 months chart, where the range is 3,100 to 2,800 approximately. And when you look at it over the contracted time period of say the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the range is narrower. It's narrowed towards 2,900 and 3,000, 3,050, and the stock has been trading in this range. In fact, currently the stock is exactly at the middle point of this trading range. Typically, when the range gets narrower with time, you expect some sort of a breakout to happen. Since the other peers like Nippon Asset Management, etc., they are doing pretty well for themselves, I would expect that the breakout for HDFC AMC should happen on the upside. So for the next 3 to 6 months, would suggest a hold on the stock, and target potential could be approximately at 3,100, 3,200 zone.
This one's from Prashant. He's saying he has 200 shares of Coal India, which he's purchased at 149 rupees per share. He's saying, is it good to average at current level or look for an opportunity to sell the stock, because he's not pretty clear about the future prospects of Coal India. Ashish, actually, I'll come to you on this one. How does Coal India look like? Does it make sense for Prashant to hold on to this particular counter, or should he go ahead and sell the shares?
This is again a laggard. If you see the side 165 and it is still quoting at 137. Again, many problems like PSU stocks which are not in demand. Again, coal stocks are not in demand, and energy, particularly traditional kind of energy, the problem that we are facing in NTPC, why it is not moving same way, Coal India will also not move, because now more and more money is changing to stocks like Tata Power or some similar kind of stories. So my suggestion will be to exit from this stock, and better to look at a stock like Mahindra and Mahindra Financial. If you ask me, this stock is at 150 rupees. Stock has corrected from a high of 225 because last quarter they have taken a major write back. But this quarter again they are going to come out with good set of numbers. So here you are going to recover your losses. At the same time, it has good potential in 1 year to even go back to what. So
Okay, we're going to try and fix that issue with the feed that we're having with Ashish. Apologies for that, guys. Now, I do want to come to you, Kunal, in the next one because this is an interesting one. We were going to speak about IT today and then we decided to speak about the series. But this is coming in from Professor Thomas V. George from Cochin, Kerala. And he's identified a group of IT names that he wants to invest in. He's looking at which one would be the best for the long term. He's named LNT Technology Services. He's got LNT Infotech, Happiest Minds and HCL Tech. Which according to you looks best placed for a long-term growth?
I think it's a tough one. These stocks have had fantastic history in the last 14-15 months. So I think if you try and extrapolate that, then possibility that the uptrend for IT stocks could remain to be on the stronger side. But then when you are trying to ride a particular sector which has done exceptionally well in the last 14-15 months, you have to be ready for phases of corrections as well in between. There could be any reasons why some of the corrections could probably happen, but whenever that happens, those corrections could be sharp, intense. They could probably try and put a lot of these IT stocks, large caps as well as mid caps under a bit of circumspect. So if you're okay with that, then I would expect some of the names like Tata Elxsi. I think that could be one stock which you can look at. Looks very formidable on the long-term time scale, even though the stock has moved up almost 10x and beyond that in the last 14-15 months, but looks very stable and sturdy in terms of the price trajectory. Tech Mahindra, in fact, is what I would probably recommend from the other list. Looks extremely strong because the recent breakout just 2 months back, the stock has given a big breakout on the medium as well as the long-term charts. So that would be one stock which you can look at. And out of the list of stocks which you mentioned, I think LNT Infotech could be one stock which you can look at from current levels.
All right. We will get Ashish shortly, some issue with his feed, but till then, Kunal, it's all you. So this one is from Shanmuga Sundaram. LNT Finance, he has 500 shares, which he's purchased at 90 rupees per share. He wants to know, can he hold on to it for the next 1 year? Does it make sense, Kunal?
What has happened is the last 2-3 months, many of these financial services names, they've gone through a bit of drubbing in the market. LNT Finance, I remember, I think was at 100 rupees approximately, and is now at one point came down to almost 76 or 77 levels. Now it's managing to bounce back. But these are phases in the market. So if you can ride out the toughest phase, for many of these sectors, then when there's a revival which comes by into stocks, those revivals could be very quick, and you could tend to make good amount of money in those revival phases as well. So I sense that financial services, name, banking, these sectors could go through a revival process. So I would recommend a hold for LNT Finance in that sense. And I think if you're in for say the next 6 months to 1 year, then why not even look to average at current levels of 80 approximately, bring your cost price lower. That would help getting into break even and profits pretty early.
Sorry about that. Gentlemen, I would like to remind you to keep your answers as short as possible. We'll try and take as many as possible over the next few minutes. Coming to you, Ashish, on this next one, we've got Muruga Das, who's bought 1,500 shares of BHEL at levels of 68. What advice would you give him?
Advice will be to average now BHEL at this price. See, stock has came down because of two factors. When the stock was moving up, it came suddenly into the ban. So after that, there's a lot of liquidation. At the same time, numbers were much below expectation. But now as the economic cycle is again on turnaround and new orders are coming in, now there's a good time to enter into BHEL and you try to exit from this stock at around 60 to 63 level. But don't miss opportunity to average at this price.
Okay, this one is from Sagar. He wants a technical view on Narayana Hrudayalaya. Bought 100 shares at the price of 385 rupees per share. He believes that the stock has actually lost its momentum. So he wants to know whether he should hold it for the longer term or look to sell this counter. Kunal, what's your take on Narayana Hrudayalaya?
It's a good stock. You should look to hold on even from a longer term view. It's going through a bit of a patchy phase of consolidation, but I don't see that this is a sign of change of trend for the stock, at least in the very near to medium term charts. I would suggest a hold.
Okay, Cheryl, I'm surprised that you have no problem saying that name. I always stumble on it. But coming to you, Ashish, on the next one, Taneja Aerospace. I don't know if you have a view on this. We've got a viewer from Chennai, Rajagopalan, who says that he's incurring a huge loss on this. He bought it at 180 as many as 20 years back, and the stock is currently trading at 46. What do you think that he should do?
See, my advice will be to exit as such, because there's nothing interesting happening with this company particularly, or this space, and I don't see in shorter term you are going to recover your money anyhow. So my suggestion will be again to swap this stock with some quality stock. So I have identified, say, HUL is a stock which you can buy, and you can fetch some of the return that you have lost in Taneja Aerospace. But Taneja Aerospace surely an exit at this.
Okay, this one is coming in from Sushrit, and he's saying that he has 500 shares of Hindustan Copper, which he's purchased at 149 rupees per share. He's saying it has corrected from that levels. Wants to know what should he do? Continue to hold on to this counter. He has a long-term perspective for this stock. Ashish, makes sense, Hindustan Copper, to stay put with this holding for the longer term?
Yeah, because it's almost at 50, and we have seen we are on the sector. I think Hindustan Copper is again going to catch fancy. And this quarter also, we are expecting very good numbers from all metal companies. So Hindustan Copper, in fact, you can add more in your portfolio. And once this quarter numbers come, then you will surely get an opportunity to exit in shorter term perspective.
All right, Sanjeev Sinha is writing in from Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, and he's asking about the correct stage to enter TCS with a 1-year time frame. Kunal, coming to you.
Well, one thing you have to do is increase your time horizon for sure, because TCS and such other large cap names, they've run up exceedingly high. So the amount of the risk reward to enter a trade becomes a bit more, I would say, not in favor as such for TCS at current levels. I would suggest wait for at least a 10% drop from current levels on an average. That could probably happen maybe another 1 to 2 months. That could be a better level to try and jump into TCS, not at current levels. And whenever you're trying to do that, increase your time horizon. Don't stick it to just 1 year. I would sense that keep it at least for the next 3 to 5 years. That's where the real potential could get unleashed for many of these large cap IT names.
A quick query, this one from Manideep Chaudhary wants to know about Ratan India Enterprises. He's bought 2,000 shares at about 54 rupees per share. Do you track this particular counter, Kunal? Any view on Ratan India Enterprises?
Not really. Unfortunately, Cheryl, I don't track it, so won't be able to offer any comment.
Okay, we considering agri stock bullishness. This is from Mr. Kunal. What would you buy? Would you buy Escorts or would you buy Kaplan Point? This is exactly what he's saying. Ashish, what do you say?
So both the stocks are good, but I'll go with Escorts. And again, rationale is as the monsoon is good this year, so the tractor, the number of tractor sales is pretty good. And again, their Japanese counterpart is also increasing his stake in the company. So, like Escorts is a company to watch for in next 1 year also. So, go for Escorts in my view.
Segment now, and this one is coming from Ajay. He's saying that he's bought NCC at 90 rupees. He wants a 3-month view, sell, hold or average. Kunal, NCC?
I'll suggest an average at current levels.
Okay, the next one's on Hindalco, recently purchased at levels of 400 for the long term. Rajay Gowda is asking, Ashish, would you hold on for the long term?
the roof, so makes a lot of sense to hold on in Dalco. Target is 600 by next year.
Okay, this one is from Neeraj Kumar. He's holding Ambuja 1000 shares at 310 rupees per share. Wants to know whether he should hold or sell. He has an outlook for 1 year, Kunal.
Well, I'll definitely suggest a hold at current levels, and if possible, look to average it out further. Hold it for the next 2 years at least.
Okay, SpiceJet at levels of 81. Apologies. Sumit wants to know, Kunal, would you hold right now or would you sell?
Well, I will hold, but I think if it comes very closer to your cost price around 80-85 range, that is the time I would suggest that you should look to exit.
Zafar wants to know what's your view on BPCL for the next 3 months. Kunal, what should he do? Buy, sell, hold?
I'll recommend a buy at current levels.
Okay, Chandrasekharan wants to know about Maruti Suzuki. He's got 50 shares at 7,050. He's asking if we should average at this level or wait. What is the view, Ashish?
So I think we should wait for some more decline in auto sector. So my suggestion will be to wait for 6,400 mark, then you bet the rapid.
This one is from Mayank. Let me just slip this one in. He's holding 2,000 shares of Lincoln Pharma. He bought at 300 rupees. Wants to know whether he can add for the next 2 years. Ashish?
So I think we have already seen good run up in Lincoln Pharma. So avoid this. Instead of this, look at Deshman, also Ajanta Pharma. Will do better.
Alright, on that note, we're completely out of time on this segment of Buy Now, Sell Now. Thank you so much, gentlemen, Kunal as well as Ashish, for answering all the questions, and apologies for the technical difficulties that we've had on this program. But we're slipping into a short break. Everybody who missed out on getting their queries answered, don't be disheartened. We'll be back tomorrow and we'll attempt to take as many more as possible. Do stay tuned, lots more coming up in just a short while.